Chapter 548, Fighting a Half-Saint. This chapter is updated by Novels.pl. Bang, bang. They separated again after a dozen movements. The Black Skeleton Flood Dragon King is a 6th level savage beast. Even if I reach the ultimate realm of the Heaven Realm, I will still be no match for him. Blood streamed out of his mouth. Zhang Yuochen decided to change tactics. He would first lead the king deeper into the sea. Then, as the water pressure became stronger, the king's power would grow weaker. Thinking about this, he immediately turned around and dived into the sea. Want to escape? Can you run away? The king looked derisively at Zhang Yuochen. His feet turned into a red flood dragon tail, which he waved back and forth at an incredible speed. In an instant, he was about 10 meters behind Zhang Yuochen. He took out the Roaring Flame Hammer and mobilized its inscriptions with Holy Chi. The Roaring Flame Hammer was a 100 inscription weapon, and it used to be the green-robed emissaries. After the Black Skeleton Flood Dragon King killed him, he claimed the hammer as his own. Crack! The king waved his arm and threw the hammer at Zhang Yuochen's back. The hammer moved with great power, quickly pushing the waves into a huge arc and approaching Zhang Yuochen's back. So fast, Zhang Yuochen looked back and was surprised. He immediately teleported through space with a shudder and disappeared under the hammer. He reappeared 100 meters away. The king snorted and stared at Zhang Yuochen with some surprise. He asked, "Can you mobilize the power of space?" As a 6th level savage beast, the Black Skeleton Flood Dragon King had a vivid sense of space. Even a subtle space fluctuation could not hide from him. The Dragon King discovered Zhang Yuochen's spatial abilities and immediately understood what was going on. He said to himself, "I see. No wonder that a man of the Heaven Realm can contend with me. Since he can control space, the water pressure will not affect him. If he goes on diving, I will be at more and more of a disadvantage." As I figured it out, the king gradually became serious. He began to pay attention to his weak opponent. Damn, that extraterritorial man can move through space, so I can't catch up with him under the sea. The king caught up with Zhang Yuochen 3 times in a row, but every time Zhang Yuochen successfully teleported away. After diving 3,000 meters into the sea, the king could feel that he had become a little weaker. Suddenly, the king stared at a primitive world soldier of the 5th change in the fish dragon realm near him. He smiled as an idea formed. The king stopped swimming after Zhang Yuochen and moved sideways. He grabbed the soldier by his neck, looked down at Zhang Yuochen, and said hoarsely, "Believe it or not, I will kill him now if you keep running." Zhang Yuochen stopped and looked up. He frowned and said, "Black Skeleton Flood Dragon King, you are a dominator after all. How can you threaten a man of the Heaven Realm in this way? Aren't you afraid of being ridiculed by your sons and grandsons?" The king sneered and said, "As long as I can kill you, the way is not important." The king had captured an evil warrior of the black market named Wang Hanwu. Normally, Wang Hanwu was an evil, powerful warrior, feared by many, but in front of the king, he was like a lamb for slaughter. Wang Hanwu had witnessed the king killing the green-robed emissary, so he was very scared of the king. Trembling all over, he gave up his dignity and immediately implored, "Zhang Yuochen, I was wrong before. I should not deal falsely with you. Since we are both human beings, you must save me." Zhang Yuochen looked at Wang Hanwu scornfully. If Wang Hanwu was a little bit tougher, then Zhang Yuochen would have saved him in admiration of his courage. But now, Zhang Yuochen was extremely disappointed. He said coldly, "Black Skeleton Flood Dragon King, do you hear it as well? He is my enemy. Do you think I will save him? If you help me kill him, I will be really grateful to you." "Really? I'll kill him." Crack! With a snort, the king clenched his fingers, broke Wang Hanwu's neck, and threw away his body. Actually, Zhang Yuochen had just been provoking the king by saying that he had actually wanted to preserve Wang Hanwu's life. After all, it was a human life. How could he bear to see him killed at the hands of some non-human beast? The king was cruel and bloodthirsty beyond expectation. Even though the king knew that Wang Hanwu was Zhang Yuochen's enemy, he still killed him. It was clear that the king did not play by the rules. Was he smart enough to see through Zhang Yuochen's mind? Although he had not changed the result, Zhang Yuochen had actually showed extreme patience and magnanimity toward his enemy Wang Hanwu. Nevertheless, he was not going to fight with the king for the likes of Wang Hanwu. The king smiled and said, "Little boy, I'm going to kill all the human soldiers now and see how long you can stand it." As the king of the Flood Dragon tribe, he was naturally intelligent. Having fought with extraterritorial humans for many years, he knew that man's greatest weakness was his human nature. Since this boy was human, if he started killing the soldiers of the primitive world, the boy would probably be enraged. Unless Zhang Yuochen was inhuman. Zhang Yuochen looked serious as he watched the king rush to the other soldier. He ran after him. He said, "Black Skeleton Flood Dragon King, you can kill as many soldiers as you like, but for every soldier you kill, I will kill 10 red cloud pythons in revenge." The king smiled and watched Zhang Yuochen catch up with him. He said, "Really? Since it is so, let's see who is more heartless and cruel." The king overtook a soldier who wanted to escape and hit his left shoulder. With just a touch, the soldier's bones dissolved into a fine powder and his body collapsed. Space vortex. Zhang Yuochen came up with the king and waved his hand. Then, a 10-meter vortex opened, stretching toward the king's back. The king knew that Zhang Yuochen could control space, so he had taken the necessary precautions. With a swoosh, the king ducked under the space vortex, successfully avoiding Zhang Yuochen's attack. Furious flood dragon rising to the sky. The king became a human-shaped flood dragon about 30 meters long. He thrust up and hit Zhang Yuochen's chest. Divine Dragon's robbery. Zhang Yuochen's two palms condensed power. He simultaneously threw them out and formed a 33-meter Divine Dragon's illusory image. Boom! The Lord of the Flood Dragons collided with the Dragon Shadow. The king swept his claws to shatter the Dragon Shadow. He continued to rush forward to hit Zhang Yuochen. The huge flood dragon had knocked him into the air hundreds of meters away. Zhang Yuochen felt an intense pain in his chest and shed blood between his ribs. All his internal organs appeared to be broken into pieces, making him extremely uncomfortable. He is indeed a 6th-level savage beast. I am still far behind him. Unless I can break through into the fish dragon realm, he will kill me within 10 movements. Zhang Yuochen clapped one hand to his chest, took out the auspicious vase with the other hand, and drank a mouthful of blood of wood spirit. Based on his current realm, it was neither difficult nor easy for him to break through into the fish dragon realm. When he broke through into a new realm, he would become very fragile. Therefore, he definitely could never be disturbed. Obviously, he was unable to break through into a new realm during the current situation. What should I do? The king changed into a human being again. He walked to Zhang Yuochen step by step and said with a laugh, "Little boy, you are nothing short of being great. Unexpectedly, you can survive after I attacked you vigorously." Looking at the king who was approaching, Zhang Yuochen took out the sacred prime tree from his chi and squeezed it, saying, "Blackie, should you come out to help me?" Swoosh! A black light spot flew out of the scroll. The light spot gradually grew larger, and it finally turned into a half-meter high fat, black cat. Blackie looked like he had just woken up. He stretched himself and glanced at the king. Having felt the king's huge aura, Blackie was startled, and his sleepiness vanished. He took 2 steps back and exclaimed, "Zhang Yuochen, are you kidding me? How dare you to fight against a red cloud python 6th-level savage beast?" "Of course not." Zhang Yuochen handed the yin-yang wooden graph to Blackie and said, "Help me hold him off for a while. I'm going to break through into the fish dragon realm." Blackie held the yin-yang wooden graph, opened his round eyes wide, and shook his head like a rattled drum. He said, "Are kidding me? I am no match for him." "Don't worry. I will activate Space Domain and the Sword Defending Technique to help you. But you must guarantee that nothing will touch my body," Zhang Yuochen said seriously. Actually, Zhang Yuochen could enter the scroll world to break through into the fish dragon realm. In that case, Blackie could not withstand the king at all without the help of Space Domain. Only when he and Blackie tried their best to hold the king off could Huang Yanshan, Aoxinian, the Orange Star Emissary, and the soldiers of the primitive world escape to the bottom of the sea and avoid the king's slaughter. Suddenly, a golden light spot appeared in the distance, as if something were moving toward them. "Amitabha!" A loud voice sounded above the Black Sea.